What is up, Fightful faithful? Welcome back here to Fightful Scraps with another interview. Today, I am joined by TK Cooper and Chuck Mambo of Sunshine Machine. And today, we've got a little bit of an issue. Chuck is not able to get his camera working. He was all fine yesterday when we recorded another interview, but today his technology has decided to go against him. How are you two lads doing today?
I'm great. Thank you, Corey. Thanks for having us. I'm feeling okay. It's we were just saying just off before we started filming, recording this. I've had a couple of days to just sit around and do nothing now, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I don't know about Mambo, but I'm feeling good myself.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fuming at this technology, but otherwise pretty good. In fact, today's my first day just doing a fat lot of nothing. Which is nice. It's a nice thing to
do. And obviously, lads, the relaxation has been well earned. 6 shows back to back over All In weekend, and we'll start at the very beginning. Mambo, I talked to you a good bit about this yesterday, so I'm going to just start. I'm going to ask you this, TK. Pro Wrestling Ceasefire, very, very important event to start off the weekend for a good cause. What was that like for you? Obviously, Mambo, with being involved with organizing it,
yeah.
he had. But from your point of view, how was it?
So obviously, I can't take any of the credit for how well Ceasefire went or how well it was produced or put together at all. It's totally a Geo and Mambo thing. So full credit to them. Unbelievable show, wonderful cause, and really great turnout. So very, very happy with that. The actual show itself, that obviously I'm a part of, the tag team match, Mambo and I against Shah and Jordan. So much fun. Just really, really good environment, and not like I don't want to say like plague, but not like the narrative of the show, the narrative of all the matches, to be fair, like weren't beholden to the cause in any way. It was just 4 banger matches on just an incredible show that just happened to also be raising money for a great cause. It's just like that could have been a show anywhere across the country for any particular reason, for any promotion, and that would have been awesome. And yeah, I'm just grateful to be a part of it, to be honest. I'm glad, like a bit of a nepo booking, but can't complain. Can't complain. It's all a very good time on Thursday. Really good one to start the weekend off with as well. Just sort of set the tone for what All In weekend is going to be on the independents. Similar to last year, I think we started off the weekend with Riot Cabaret, which I'm sure we'll get to in a point. But just same sort of atmosphere. Just everybody, you can just feel the energy backstage, front of house, in the crowd. Just everybody is just like, there's just a certain vibe that comes with basically like the wrestling festival that is All In weekend across the independents. So it just felt good. Just felt really good.
And Mambo, obviously, you had a lot to say yesterday about this, but is there any additional things that you want to comment on it?
Oh, no, well, I could only really second TK, but thank you, TK, for being a part of it. I guess it was a nepo booking, but it also would have been the first people we would have gone to if you weren't my tag partner. But yeah, I think we talked a lot about that yesterday, that because you asked if there was any conflict between like the booking and the seriousness of the cause. But I think the best thing we could do for it was to just put on an absolutely spectacular show, and that was the only real booking notes for it to be the best show that it could be. And I really do think, because sometimes you'll be on like a 10-match card and everyone's like, you know what, there should never be more than like 7 matches, and then you'll be on like a 5-match card and people will be like, 5's good, 5's really good, and then 4, whoa, 4 knocked my socks off. 4 in a stacked raffle was good energy all night, baby. I was very impressed.
And TK, you did mention it there. I'm kind of just going to run through All In weekend, appearance by appearance, because, like I said, just stacked weekend, a hectic schedule. And then after Pro Wrestling Ceasefire, you did move on to Riot Cabaret. You did face off with Subculture, Danny Luna, and sorry, I can't remember, with Flash Morgan Webster. It's hard to keep up sometimes, especially with the schedule that you did had. But Riot Cabaret is somewhere that you guys have really, your whole character presentation, everything really does fit in well with the presentation of Riot Cabaret. So what was that like then? Like, as you said, TK, to kind of keep that momentum going of the positivity and the different kind of presentation.
I think just the energy that James and Sean, the enthusiasm they bring to the presentation of Riot Cabaret as a whole is very infectious. And I think just the presentation we have just as ourselves, as TK and Mambo, as Sunshine Machine, just as two guys having a good time. Not that we don't also just kill it in the ring, but you know, our energy is very similar to theirs. So I think we just vibe off of each other. And I think that is just like exemplified in the show in Riot Cabaret, that, you know, like I'm sure everybody else feels like very similar or the same for the way that they get treated at Riot Cabaret, but I think especially with us, there's just like a very special attachment to that kind of show. There's been a lot of comparisons drawn between Riot Cabaret and Riptide over the few years that Riot Cabaret has existed, and of course, like when Riptide was running down in Brighton, like that was our sort of like spiritual home as well. Before we were even Sunshine Machine, you know, before we were even really ETM, before we were a team at all, but you know, we're just like two guys trying to find our feet, and that was kind of where we cut our teeth in terms of being presented as important features within the scene. And I think Riot Cabaret does a really good job of presenting us like that, and we carry ourselves like that, and the fans really seem to vibe off of that. And I do think it might just be the acoustics, but Riot Cabaret definitely has the best call and response for our entrance. When, like, if you're not familiar, and if anybody watching this isn't familiar or anyone listening isn't familiar, that generally the introduction of us will go, you know, they'll introduce Mambo, they'll introduce me, and then rather than say that they are, or the team known as, the dialogue we always ask every MC to say is, everybody knows Sunshine Machine, to which, you know, we'll throw up the double bullhorns, which is the implicit signage for us, because obviously our catchphrase is normally Sunshine Machine rules. So if you say the whole thing in one go, it's everybody knows Sunshine Machine, and then you get the crowd to say rules with you. And at the clapping ground especially, it like shakes the room when they scream it back at us. You know, it's definitely like a different feeling. So and I think like even James and Sean have gone out of their way to sometimes describe us, and we didn't ask them to, which is a very nice thing that they've done. They've described us, so they've described Sunshine Machine as the heart and soul of Riot Cabaret, which is a privilege. It's like an absolute like blessing for them to bestow that upon us. And whether it's true or not, I don't know. It's purely, you know, it's just it's the promoters putting it on us, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. But it's a privilege, it's a responsibility, and I honestly I can't gush enough about Riot Cabaret. I love it there. I can't wait to be back in October. Assuming we're back in October, I don't actually know if they offered us the date, but I bloody
I'll be there in the crowd if not.
And Mambo, yourself?
Yeah, I can echo everything TK has said, and we've been really lucky lately to get to like Denmark and Germany a bit more, and I think there's some kind of crossover in the atmosphere that some of those shows have, where like the crowd that and the energy that Riot Cabaret has cultivated is just such a fun atmosphere, where I think before anything's happened, the crowd are already kind of like chomping at the bit to like tell you how happy and impressed they are. So nobody phones it in, of course. They're all like absolutely incredible matches, but it's such a well mixed kind of variety act with such a good atmosphere to it that I think you just get this really cool mixture of fans do know the stories, and like they'll come along with like Sunshine Machine rules, and they'll be like booing the baddies and cheering the goodies. But also every time there's people that are like, oh wow, I've never been to a wrestling show and I love it. So it's like new people coming in that are finding it digestible, and old people, not old people, but like returning fans that are finding it worth coming back to. So yeah, I just really, really proud to have been there from day one, really. And I hope to be there till day a million.
And so then after Riot Cabaret, you did move on. You were part of All Caps All Day with North Wrestling. You faced off with Emerson, Jane, and Rio, which was, as someone who was there for it and was watching it, was a very fun match on a very stacked show. And it was on the same day that you were going to Copperbox then after. So
Indeed.
what was that, the wrestling in the garage like, wrestling on that multi-promotional kind of show and wrestling with Emerson, Jane, and Rio?
Again, super fun. Like very great opportunity to wrestle two girls that we've kind of had on our list as a team. We really wanted to wrestle against. Unfortunately, I mean, clearly it didn't. I was going to say, unfortunately, it kind of got lost in the shuffle with like how much we had to go from North to Copper Box. But I think mainly because we didn't get much downtime after it to kind of process how much fun it was. But like the actual doing it and wrestling at the garage, like again, for those of you who don't know, that used to be the home of Progress's like Endeavor shows. It was like the OG home for Progress as well at a point. So like Mambo and I, we've come up through wrestling at the garage, separately.
We wrestled each other in a 6-man there.
That's true. Yeah, we did. There was a times long ago when we used to stand across the ring from each other. But yeah, so we have definitely we're not unfamiliar with the garage. It was great to be back. A couple of years ago, actually, we were there for Progress's return show, right? Remember in that gauntlet? But
it was like a 10-year anniversary.
Yeah, that's the one. But purely, so yeah, we're definitely familiar with the garage. It was really good to see it absolutely rocking all day, from what I could see from all the pictures and stuff outside of North. But yeah, Emerson and Rio are incredible. I really didn't like being stalled for that package pile driver at the end there. Rio, I don't appreciate that at all. Just absolutely humbled and humiliated and wedgied all at the same time. If we can avoid that next time, Mambo, I would love that a lot. So
I'm sorry, dude. They kicked my ass.
So yeah, that's all I got to say about them. That's really cool. I'd love to do it again, either back at North, or somehow do it down south somewhere. That'll be wicked.
Absolutely, yeah. To me, the garage is one of the all-time coolest wrestling venues ever, because I saw my first Progress show there, and it had maybe it was the second Progress show I saw, but it was FSU versus Swords of Essex. It just absolutely blew my mind, and I've never really looked back since. So just the atmosphere from even being in the crowd or being like ring crew there, like there's so much memories there, you know. So to me, it like feels like such a prestigious place to get to wrestle. However, it has a locker room about the size of a cupboard, and then the upstairs you have to like then run around the street in all your gear and stuff to get to the tiny little locker room before you go out on the stage. So it's really funny because like you're coming back, and obviously I know wrestling is silly, but when you're in the mix of it, you're like, okay, it's go time, or like you've just done it and you're like, oh god, that was good, now I got to get to the copper box. But you're like kind of acting all serious, but you're just walking around in like high vis green shorts naked in the street. But yeah, it was a very busy schedule. I would love to have the chance to just fully focus on a match with Rio and Emerson. I think we could overcome them next time if we had the right preparation.
And it's funny that you actually mentioned that having to go around, because when I was arriving at the venue, poor kid Lycos, he was doing Attack Pro Wrestling. I actually saw him having to come around. It was raining at the time and he was in his gear, and the man did not look happy. I would say that about him. He did not look happy. But moving on then. So
can I just say one more thing? Sorry. It's fucking awesome that All Caps, just to see like 3 different promotions just all working together and not, you know, being at each other's throat or anything. And I think the first boom, as far as I can tell, really things started kicking off when people weren't pulling each other's posters down. They were just like all working together and putting on awesome wrestling shows. And I think the scene is thriving and healthy now for the same reasons, and it's just cool to see.
And of course, then, like you said, right off North, you had to get on your way to the Copper Box, and it was arguably one of the bigger matches you've had as a team so far. Obviously, the RevPro, the British undisputed British Tag Team Championships on the line, but also your partnership as a tag team was on the line, which has been the story that has been going for quite some time now. What went into that match, because it was such a high profile match, and obviously the Copper Box getting to win the titles again, and possibly by what it seems, seeing off grizzled young veterans to their time in AEW.
So if you're talking about like the lead up into the match, then like kind of like 3-4 months ago, whenever we started this kind of like lead up into the Copper Box, our win-loss ratio was pretty like subpar, very like kind of, and even our bookings at RevPro were kind of like had become very scattered, so we weren't really doing anything super like valuable to the company. So we just figured, what could we do that could really like re-kickstart like something of importance to ourselves that isn't necessarily like how do we become tag team champions again, because that's so like cut and dry, very like basic. Not that there's a problem with that, but just like there are other teams that needed like that kind of championship focus. What can we do separately that doesn't take away from the show, but is still like like a very heartstring, very emotional story that'll get us to the next point. At the time, there was no plan for it to get us to the tag titles. It was just something for us to do, to be like to get more consistent bookings with RevPro and to be more involved regularly with RevPro, because that's objectively where we were trying to be at the time. And just, I guess, like serendipity, really, it just kind of all happy accident fell into place where it just moved in the direction of you're going to challenge for the titles and it's going to be at Copperbox, which again, like there was a promo we did in Southampton the other week where I said, last year they wouldn't even let us in the building to watch the show, which is objectively true. The reasons may not be as true, but it's all it's creative liberty, license to embellish the truth to tell a good story. And it was very like sad last year when the Copperbox card was constructed and we were involved. We were gutted because we'd been like kind of such a deep rooted part of RevPro since COVID, since coming back, that we really thought we had earned a place on kind of the biggest platform at the time. And to miss out last year was just like, so then to have that kind of come full circle this year was like such a blessing, just like proof that the hard work we'd put in was moving in the right direction. And then to also have it be such a marquee match as well was another blessing. And then to have us also reclaim the championships with like such obviously like it was a ginormous like culmination of a bunch of emotions, but like that moment at the end where I come running back and I pull Gibbo out the ring, I give him the headbutt, Mambo takes out James Drake with the greatest super kick of all time, and then I put my hand out there for Mambo to tag, and then the minute that our hands touch, like the crowd like explodes more than anything I feel like we have ever done in the past, like more than any move, more than any false finish, more than anything ever. Like that like tag was explosive, and it was like so special to know that we had like created that environment to create that moment. So like times like that I will like treasure forever. And then that's why I think like it was so special to wrestle with Mambo at Copperbox against Grizzly Young Veterans. It was like just the perfect storm of everything I could have wanted. And then the match, like the GYV, I'm not telling anybody anything they don't already know, but GYV are probably the best tag team in the world because they are unreal. They are just unreal. Played their part to perfection. Just everything about them is 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 even. They are the best.
Yeah, I don't want to peel the curtain back too much or anything on the business, but I just think that there's some wrestlers will say like, oh, this show is going to be full of people trying to have match of the night, so we should do like a story, which yeah, maybe, but they often misconstrue that for just doing lazy like wrestling without cool high spots. But I think the Grizzled Young Veterans are just so amazing. Like they don't slack for a thing. They add a story on top of an exciting wrestling match. They don't like forfeit one for the other. And I think that's when wrestling just reaches this like next peak level of excitement for me.
And after RevPro, then you did have not a day off, but it wasn't a traditional wrestling booking. You both did work AEW All In. What was that experience like to not only work at one of the biggest shows of the year, but also work at one of the biggest venues in Britain and in the world, really, in Wembley Stadium?
I think the Wembley thing kind of goes over my head a little bit just because I'm not a football guy. So, but I mean, obviously the grandioseness of Wembley obviously is like incredible. And last year, we did get tickets, and we were sat like way at the, like 20 quid nosebleed tickets.
Third from the back, I think.
It was like it was still a very fun day, but we weren't. And I would argue that's probably where I would normally, if I was going to buy tickets to any event, that's generally where I would end up. Not made of money, so. But so to be like floor level and kind of. And before doors, just all of that experience, like behind, just the complete like behind the scenes, like how, how they put it all together, sort of thing, was incredible. Just seeing loads of people I haven't seen in years, sort of thing. For instance, your Malachi Blacks, your Brody Kings, that like all like I don't know why anybody would like forget meeting someone. I mean, it happens, but it's still very, very nice to see like those sorts of guys come through backstage while we're all just stood there before we get like allocated our bits and pieces, and just like those are just two examples, but there was like so many people who came through backstage. They were just like, kind of. I put it like that Key and Peele sketch, when Obama's like meeting like all the different people after his speech. That basically like that, like like just so like happy, just so happy to see each other. So it was just really, really nice. Like I'm so happy for them. I'm sure they're just happy to see me, but it was all just those interactions were just like, hell yeah, that's nice. But then also, being involved in different bits and pieces backstage, and just talking to just everybody was so nice backstage. That was like the main thing. And then the catering was unreal. I don't think I've ever been involved with anything that's had catering other than like a wedding. So to just have a spread like that was definitely top tier. Definitely one of my top 5 things that happened in the weekend was eating backstage at AEW.
I had 3 desserts.
But there's almost like too many things that happened on Sunday for me to really like go beat for beat and explain to you how awesome it was. But it definitely put it in perspective of like, for me anyway, like I don't think Mambo and I have really spoken about this together, but how much I really want to be there.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. I was thinking this morning actually. It's kind of funny because to be involved in like the biggest match of our lives to date, in front of like 4,000 people, and you're like, whoa, this is so fucking sick. And then the very next day to be in front of like 10 times that, not in front of them, but like seeing a show, you're like, it suddenly puts it into a whole different perspective. You're like, wow, this is the biggest show ever. Oh wow, this was actually very small in the scale of things. Yeah. In a good way though, like it's like, oh wow, like here's the next mountain, not that we've like achieved everything yet, just because we did a 4,000 person show once, but it's cool to be like, whoa, we're this high and it feels amazing. Whoa, there's still so much more to go. It definitely, it didn't feel like, I don't know, wrestling is wrestling. And not to say that we're necessarily at that level already, but like seeing it and being there made it feel like tangible and achievable, if you see what I mean, which was cool. But the other funny thing, you'd think in a weekend like that, you'd be all just like in the gym prepping for like, the matches and studying tapes and stuff, but actually I just was overthinking what kind of suit you're supposed to wear and stuff. I didn't have a suit, so I had to fucking buy a suit, and then it's so uncomfortable being in a suit. All that stuff was like more awkward than anything else. But to TK's point, it's really nice how nice everybody is. That put people at ease quite quickly, I think. But then also, after 12 years or whatever in the business, you're like, we've all been in the business. I don't think I'm going to be starstruck by anybody. And then you see Daniel Bryan, you're like, oh, it's the greatest wrestler of all time. And this might be his last time wrestling. Oh. And then I saw Tony Schiavone and I just couldn't stop.
And for you, Mambo, you mentioned it earlier, seeing the Swords of Essex wrestling and being involved in Will Ospreay's like big moment in his match and everything. What was that like a full circle moment for you?
I don't know if I'd say it was like a full circle moment. Maybe one day me and Tix will wrestle the Swords of Essex at Wembley Stadium. Then that would be full circle. And FSU can do a running. But certainly it was awesome to be involved at Wembley. And good Lord, did Will Ospreay kill it. My goodness.
So moving on then to your last day of the weekend, Progress on the Monday, you did end up in a surprise appearance, which kind of just blew the roof off the Electric Ballroom. And what did it feel like almost to come into that match as the favorites, even though you weren't previously advertised, and even with a hot feud going on between the Smoking Aces and Sane?
That is such a funny interpretation of that situation. That's so interesting. I would have never thought of it like that way. But I do think as soon as Mambo actually deserves all the credit for this as well. The way we were introduced was very much Mambo's idea. I mean, they had suggested it was kind of like a 50-50 of progress, and then Mambo came back and tweaked it and made it incredible. So there was like a weird amount of time in between, but you know, it's supposed to be like Aces get introduced, Sanity get introduced, and then kind of immediately, for no apparent reason, the announcer was just supposed to go, and their opponents. Like, there's no progress GM to come out and go, hold on a minute, player. But also, you know, just for kind of no reason at all, Sunshine Machine have been added to this match. What I don't hate. I love to be in that position where just, you know, we are us, so we deserve a title shot. Why not? But it was Mambo's idea to kind of just like send the beach ball out there first as kind of like an icon of, you know, like, do you know what this means, sort of thing. And immediately it was unreal how much like the beach ball rolls out there and like the room just clicked. And then Sunshine Machine chant starts going, and the Mambo's idea from that was like one ball, then a couple more balls, then all the balls, then the music, then us. But unfortunately, and I don't know if Mambo wants to tell the story. We can come back to me.
You can tell it.
Huh?
You can tell it, man.
Yeah, okay. So Fightful exclusive here. So the first ball was not rolled by us. It was rolled by a wonderful trainee known as Sky O'Shore. Behind them, we held a couple of beach balls, and we were going to lob them straight over the the entrance rigging.
Yeah.
So the first ball goes out. Incredible pop. Everyone's getting the vibe going. Everybody already knows it's us. It's awesome. It's obviously it's hit its target demo. So we're like, okay, we got to send those next balls over. So Mambo,
I'm not a real athlete.
With all of his might, throws the ball as hard as he can. It hits the rigging and comes straight back and hits him in the face. So we're stood there, like behind the thing. There's like 3 or 4 trainees with like beach balls under their arms, ready to go. I'm stood there with mine, going, "Did that just happen?" And then by that point, I just leant behind Mambo and shouted at the music guy, "We're going now. Just hit it." So then. So I threw my ball, and me and Mambo just peel out, and then all the beach balls go. But you would never know that situation has just occurred. The way we come up the curtain and pop that. But yeah, seconds before, like the most Mambo-iest Mambo moment occurs. Seconds before we make our triumphant return to progress. Not dissimilar again to the Mambo-iest Mambo moment of AEW, to be the only man possibly to never have seen his face on AEW, but you only know him by his pants and his socks. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
And Mambo, just about progress, other than the beach ball, unfortunately.
It would have only been better if it hit me in the groin. You know what? I can't remember it hitting me in the face, but then I don't remember much. So, no, it's just, I have to say, to me, progress will always feel like coming home, you know. And it's such a good. I was so glad that the crowd did react how they did to the beach ball, because in a show of technical difficulties, shall we say, I was really worried that people would see it and then be like, "Oh man, they jumped the gun on their entrance," like spoiler or something, like not understand like that it was pageantry. But I'm very, very flattered that we got the reaction that we did, and thank you to all of the wonderful fans that even on a Monday after potentially 5 days of world-class wrestling, still having that much energy in the room. It was just such a high to end the weekend on. It was a beautiful thing.
And in terms of the it was the last match of the weekend, but it was incredibly fast paced from the opening bell. With it being a 3-way, it felt like everyone was flying everywhere. No one had a minute to breathe. At that point in the weekend, was that kind of something? And Mambo, when I was talking to you about organizing the interview, I did mention your tightrope spots, and you said that by that point you were worried you weren't going to be able to pull it off. So,
well, the ropes were weirdly slippy. Normally, Progress has like pretty, I don't know, dry ropes. Like the tape that they tape them with is almost like plaster tape, but they were weirdly slippy, man. I was running on fumes as well. So, and we didn't get any chance to like practice in the ring beforehand. Like normally Teeks and I will get like a little bit of warm up time together. But, so yeah, there was a lot riding on it. I'm glad that it came off.
And before we do wrap up, I do have one question, more of a kind of just a background question on you in general. The He's Samoan spot is something that has really gotten incredibly popular to the point now every time it happens, the chant is just like ear bursting really at this point because it's connected so well. I just want to know the origins of that idea, how it came to be. Were you worried that it wouldn't connect as well as it has, or was it kind of something where you're like, okay, this is going to be good?
So the first time I ever did it, it wasn't anything like, obviously it's been like through a billion mutations since up until today. First time I ever did it was against Tony Storm in Lucha Forever. So that was like a really, really long time ago. And it was literally just, I just had, because she was just using the headbutt a lot. And I just said to her, would it be all right if you just headbutt me? And then I don't sell it. And I just tell you that I'm Samoan and I give you one back. And that was basically it. Yeah. And then it kind of took on a life of its own from there. And then now it's become what it's become with Mambo, where like a couple of guys will take down Mambo effortlessly, and then they'll do the same thing to me, and then it won't work, and then he'll nip up. I'll ask him to nip up, and then explain the situation, and then Mambo will reveal that I am actually I have origins in the Isle of Samoa. Then we'll both headbutt the other dudes. He'll obviously sell away because he's not Samoan. Everybody falls down, but I'm super tough because I am in fact Samoan. But yeah, that is essentially the origins, the etymology, some might say. Yeah, I think that's about it. Is that right, Mambo?
Yeah, it's funny, I think, because it mirrors quite a lot of our ride on this journey, where like sometimes to a wrestler that hasn't seen it before and stuff, they might think it's like supposed to be a comedy spot, which I suppose it is, like from a funny, or like it's a take on like how Samoans are portrayed in wrestling and stuff. But it's also just, I think fans like to have stuff to like join in with. I love joining in with stuff when I'm watching wrestling. So like, I think that's what we've tried to like, well, I mean, TK did it as a singles wrestler first, but I think people just like to have things to join in with. So sometimes, like so much of our presentation, we get misinterpreted as trying to be funny when we're actually just trying to put on the flavor of wrestling that we really love.
And sorry,
I was only going to say that like it does tend to, like, as soon as I take the shot and I am like, oh, it's actually kind of sore. Like, yeah, like you're saying, like the fans will just like start chanting it themselves, and then I will just have to wait for it to kind of simmer down to kind of to like actually restart the like call and response dialogue bit of like, I will say Mambo, tell him, and then Mambo will nip up and he'll go, he's Samoan, but then everybody will say it together. Like,
yeah,
just,
that is
like, the amount of times that like I'll be like, wham, get kicked in the face, and then we'll be waiting because everyone will be like, who's Samoan, who's Samoan, who's like, you know, like it'll be like bits and pieces all the way around the room. Then they'll start chanting it together, and I'll be like, shut up, it's not yet. Hold on. I'm going to tell Mambo, and then he's going to say it, and then you say it with him. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. And then, but yeah, eventually, like everybody gets it. I do think it just is a thing everybody likes to scream along with it. And again, it might just be an acoustics thing, but I will say, Clap and Grand, Riot Cabaret seem to get it spot on every single time, and it does absolutely rock there. I mean, it rocks everywhere, or everywhere that knows it. We've tried to do it in Germany a couple of times, but I think with the language barrier, they're not quite there with it. They just think Mambo is superhuman the way he nips up, but regardless, it is very fun to do, and I'm glad people enjoy it.
And it is like funny that you still mentioned that it like other wrestlers do take it kind of as a comedy act, because even at Progress, Charlie Sterling's reaction was definitely something that I found. Yeah, where he's just got, he's Samoan. He's he's
been on the other end of it enough times. I suppose he knows what's coming. So.
Yeah. So I did say that was going to be the last question, but I do have one more just as a kind of just to end off with. Obviously, you're now the undisputed British tag team champions again. You're the Kamikaze tag team champions still. Mm-hmm. Is there what's next for Sunshine Machine towards the end of 2024? What's the goal going into 2025?
We are certainly in the process of trying to cook up a bit of like a North American tour. Nothing is concrete at all. Yeah, it's just purely an idea for ourselves. Like, we're just thinking like what kind of the same frame of question you're asking, really, what is next for us? Because we are so comfortable just being a part of Brit Rest. Like, it's very fun here. We get booked regularly. You know, we've always got like 2, maybe 3 at a push bookings every week. It's very nice. So what is next? Like, I don't want to say conquered, but, you know, like, we've been to Germany. We became GWF champions. We've been to Denmark. We became Body Slam tag team champions. So it's purely just, and, you know, our championship doesn't necessarily dictate that's like the be all and end all for, you know, like put the flag in the ground, done sort of thing. That's just very much like what is next for us, I think, is a great question, to be honest, because I've also been trying my hardest to try and link up a little bit of a Down Under Machine tour as well. But again, that's purely just at this point, it's just chat. Like, we haven't booked any flights, we haven't booked any dates or anything. It's all just ideas. It's just how do we get the Sunshine Machine brand further afield? Like, because clearly, you know, we've got a foothold, we've got a very strong hold here in the UK. It's all doing very well, but the rest of the world needs to find out about us. So how do we get there? How do we get to Japan? How do we get to Australasia? How do we get to, you know, America, Mexico, South America, whatever, wherever that is? You know, it's all very much like where do we go next? That will be the next thing for us to do. I'm not sure.
And a little closer to home, I really, really want to wrestle for the OTT tag belts.
Oh my God.
In Ireland. Oh. It's been such a blast doing the shows when they're in Wolverhampton, but it's like definitely the big highlighted one on my wrestling bucket list is OTT in Ireland.
I was thinking about asking you that, but I couldn't remember if you had been over to OTT in Ireland yet or not.
I think Teeks has.
Yeah, I've done it twice. I did a 4-way with Joe Janela, Session-Moff, and LJ Clary, and then did a tag match with Ginny against Trent Seven and Session-Moff. So yeah, I've definitely dabbled. I've dabbled in OTT. Yet to you know, go across as Sunshine Machine, which we would absolutely love to.
Mm-hmm.
So if Joe Carberry, if you're watching this, you know what to do. Get Social Elite and the lads in, because I very much like to see that match as well, lads. So, and
the amount of wonderful Irish fans that we ran into over the weekend who were like, "You got to come to OTT," and we were like, "We're trying." So, like,
it's funny how many of them are like, "We'll message."
That and French fans as well. Irish fans and French fans were really like, "Sunshine Machine, you got to come to Ireland or France." And like, we're trying. We're absolutely trying. We never say no. So it's not on us, I promise.
Mm. And Ricks and Body Zoy as well. That'd be really fun to do.
Yeah. Just put that line out there. Just fish, baby.
And lads, thank you for sitting down for this interview, guys. If you aren't unfamiliar with Sunshine Machine, you can check out their matches on RevPro On Demand, on Progress On Demand from this past weekend. And honestly, look at their body of work. It is phenomenal. And they are on their way to being one of the top tag teams in the world. Just a matter of time, in my opinion. Lads, do you just want to tell people where they can follow you on social media and where you've got upcoming bookings?
To the best of my knowledge, you can follow me on at PureTKC on everything. I think Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch even. Sometimes I mess around doing live streams and stuff. And I think, I don't want to speak for Mambo. I'm sure he can do his own plug, but I'm pretty sure Mambo is at Chuck Mambo on everything as well. So we've kind of got we pretty much own every platform that would be worth having with our names. So, well, mind you, mine's not my name, but you know what I mean. Otherwise, it's sunshinemachinerules.bigcartel.com if you want to support us. And in terms of upcoming stuff, what are we doing, Mambo?
Well, we're going to be fighting for the GWF Tag Championships in Berlin this Sunday. That should be cool. We're going to swing by, debut even, Hustle on, I think, next Thursday.
Next Thursday night, Hustle Wrestling. What's it, Color Factory in Hackney Wick?
Yeah, baby. And that's as far as my planning goes.
At some point,
I presume we'll be defending our lovely new belts soon.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll see you there.
All right, guys, that's going to be the end of this interview. If you're new to Fightful Scraps, this is where I'll be doing my interviews mostly for now on. Subscribe for new, comment what you guys think, and let the guys know that you are big fans of them, because trust me, it doesn't take much to be big fans of them with how talented they are. And see you guys in the next one.